Hello all, welcome along to NRE, the Northern Riot Esports, thank you driver. And I've just watched everyone come out of the pit lane and they've all got no nose cone. They all had no nose cone. I don't know why. Yep, I think all the AI have no nose cones. That's good. Oh wait, no, there's some AI. No. Yeah, every single AI has no nose cone. That's going to be very easy to identify. So I'm going to be hoping Ollie Bearman does well today, because I am a big Bearman fan. I can't hide it. It's shameless plug. No, it's not a shameless plug. It's a badge of honor, actually. Anyway. Right, let me get my settings up. Yeah, always set banker. Yeah. For those who don't know, I've got the drivers in my ear, so I can hear every waking comment of theirs in the VC. Right. Right, who's on the lap first? I think it'll be... We have... So, I'm going to kind of describe this as classes. So, in the AI class and then in the actual driver's class. So, let's see, we have... So we have the Min Verstappen heading up into San Juan then, the Audi. Let's see what he can do. We have some of the drivers on their laps as well. So, let's see, we have ACR as well, starting lap, as well as Kojo. Let's have a look. I think the first one to complete their lap will be Valtteri Bottas in the AI class. With no nose cone on that Cadillac. Looks like they couldn't afford it. So they're heading round turn 6 and turn 7. So they head into turn 9 and 10. Then let's see what they're going to do. Valtteri Bottas in the AI class. Let's see what he can do. What's the benchmark going to be for him in that white and black Cadillac? And he goes to the pole with a 1.7.2. And that is followed up by half a second by Pierre Gasly. And Nico Hulkenberg going up to P2 in the AI class as well. And he's now side by side with Pierre Gasly heading round turn 1. Incredible stuff there. Meanwhile, I think Ocon's just gone up to 6th. He's just been overtaken by Stroll. And Min Verstappen's gone up to P4 overall. So he's the first one to set a time. No, he's not. He's been beaten by Kojo, who sets the fastest time of the session. Meanwhile, ACI in the other Cadillac has just gone up to 9th overall. So 3rd out of the real drivers. And he's now going over the gravel there. That's not the ideal line. As we have BO in the Mercedes, and he's just gone up to 6th. Meanwhile, his teammate's just gone to pole by 0.4 of a second. So that is Taunus, should I say, in the Mercedes, going 0.4 ahead of the Williams of Kojo. Then comes Valtteri Bottas with 1.3 seconds behind that. So very nice stuff indeed. I'm gonna switch the interval gaps instead. No, I'm gonna switch the fastest laps actually. Now we have Baywop in the Ferrari going up to the top of the time, up to 2nd, should I say. So a mere, I want to say a mere 10th off of the pole time. Well, I'm going to head down the order then. We have Lando Norris looking to set a lap. I think we have Ollie Bearman as well looking to set a lap. He'll be the next one over the line, I think. So let's see what Ollie Bearman can do then. Up to the line for the Bear. And he goes over the line, and the Williams of Downfall takes pole position. And Bearman is starting his laps. They were all on out laps, actually. Oh, there's a Williams round. And who is that? Is that Downfall, potentially? That is Downfall. As Revamp has just gone to pole position as well. So Downfall having a downfall a little bit there. He gets spun by an AI and beaten by Revamp. As Revamp up to the pole. So Revamp by a second. Revamp by 9/10 of a second taking pole position ahead of Downfall. Then comes Taunus ahead of Baywop. Then comes Kojo ahead of Bottas, who is leading the way in the AI class. Meanwhile, we're going to head down the order. I think Ollie Behrman, he'll be one of the first ones to go over the line. I think ACR's coming round the final 2 corners. Let's see what he can do in the other Cadillac. The only human-driven Cadillac in this race. So let's see what he can do. Over the line for him, and he goes nowhere. Meanwhile, Ollie Behrman goes up to P8. That's a great lap by my favourite driver. Meanwhile, Liam Lawson going up the order. I think we've just had someone else go up the order. That was Oscar Piastri going up the order to P6. 2 places out of his teammate. But he's now getting a little bit impeded by that Aston Martin. That Lando Norris as well going up the order. As BO, now he's coming back out onto the track, and he probably has to because he's just been shuffled down the order to P12. So we're going to have a look at Fernando Alonso. I think he's on an in-lap. Lewis Hamilton as well, the oldest drivers on the grid, having a tough time in the bottom 3 positions. Meanwhile, hello. Hope you enjoyed the action here then. Meanwhile, we have about just over 11 minutes to go here in the NRE qualifying session for the Austrian Grand Prix, race 5 of the championship. And as you can see, it's quite a decent set of drivers indeed, and a good mix of AI drivers and human drivers as well. As most of these drivers based from out of Canada, apart from a couple who are based from out of America as well, all on the western side of the pond. And here I am from the UK as well, staying up till midnight to bring you all the action here today. It's, I think, just gone. I think about 7:30 Eastern, American Eastern time. Yeah, quarter past 7, should I say, American time. But it's quarter past midnight for me. Oh, and I've just seen Min Verstappen. Yeah, I know, right? I know, I'm just guessing at this rate, but yeah, Min Verstappen going over the dusty stuff. Meanwhile, ACR's going to be right behind him. Meanwhile, we're going to go back up the order a little bit. We should have potentially one of the Williams coming over the line shortly. Going to go down to the Mercedes though of BO, who's going 9 tenths quicker. That could put him provisionally up just behind Kojo in P6, ahead of Oscar Piastri. Let's see what BO can do then. Around the final corner, very close to going over those track limits, but over the line for BO, and it is P6. he's 9 tenths ahead of his previous time, and he beats Oscar Piastri by a mere 800ths of a second. Meanwhile, we're going to have a look at the Mercedes here of Taunust. So let's see what he can do over the line. And he doesn't improve on his time. I think that was just a banker lap. He's going to try and set a better lap now. Oh, no, he's not. He's over the curb there. Very rough on the exit there. Meanwhile, we have Kojo. He's going well as well. Let's see what type of lap he can do in due course. Meanwhile, I think Min Verstappen, he's not far down on his lap. He could still improve depending on how he takes this last sector. Getting around that last corner. And out over the line for Min Verstappen, 99. He goes up to P8 and ahead of Valtteri Bottas by 300ths of a second. And he's behind Oscar Piastri by 7,000. No, not by 7,000. By 2 tenths of a second. And let's see, BO then, he's going over the line for another lap. Meanwhile, Taunust, 61,000 up on his lap, and he's coming as the bits. That's a shame. But to be fair, he needs half a second to be able to catch Downfall, and Downfall himself needs about 3 tenths to catch Revamp, who's going up for another lap. So he might need 3 tenths, he might need more. Let's see what he can do then. He's just under a tenth up, is Revamp. Heading out of turn 3 to end his sector 1. So let's see. Verstappen then. Let's see what he can do here in Austria. Around the Red Bull Ring, the second ever track to host a Formula 1 race after the first track at Zeltwick in the old Air Force Base. but it was a very simple track that only had 4 corners, 3 right-handers and 1 left-hander. And this track having a few more corners, boosting up to 10, and becoming a much more permanent track than that Air Force Base ever was. Meanwhile, BO going over the line, I don't think he improved by much. He improved by 4 tenths, thank you there. As for Vamp, I think he's not improved, but he's not he's not far off his previous best time. So that's promising for him, race pace wise. Meanwhile, ACR coming into the pits very gingerly. See what Kojo can do there. Let's go for an on-board lap with the Williams down with 7 minutes to go in this qualifying session here in NRE, should I say. Heading up the hill, braking at the blue 100 meter boards. Turning in, lots of curb being used by Kojo, who invalidates, and I was surprised if he wouldn't have invalidated there. And he did use a lot of curb through that corner. He clipped more red and white stuff than I've ever seen before. So red and white, you can call him Where's Wally. As meanwhile we have Revamp here. Let's go for an on-board lap with our provisional pole sitter then. Let's see what he can do then, heading up into turn 1. Braking, turning in from 50 meters before the corner apex. Using a lot of that battery, as you can see, look. So he's on about 50, just under 60% battery as he heads up into turn 3, down into second gear, 80 kilometers an hour before he accelerates up the gears and into turn 4. No, it looks like he's backed off of that lap. You know what, downfall up in second. Let's see what Taunus can do then. Let's go for an onboard lap with him. Third time lucky, we'll get a full lap out of him. Let's see, half his battery has already been used, heading round turn 2 into turn 3, chucking it down the gears into second gear, just over 75 kilometers an hour, a minimum speed around there before he accelerates all the way up to 300 kilometers an hour, 313 kilometers an hour was the max speed before he brakes for turn 4. He now tries to carry the momentum out of turn 4 into the sweeping corners of turn 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. These medium speed sweeping corners that take a lot of temperature and put a lot of temperature into your rear tyres. And then round turn 9 to end the long sweepers, and then into turn 10, bit of a sharper sweeper to end the lap. And then over the line for Taunus to go, who does improve his lap by half a second, but he's behind Downfall by 200ths of a second. Meanwhile, Downfall himself is trying to reduce the fall. And he's trying to see if he can improve his time to potentially go a bit further than 200ths ahead of his rival Taunus. He's heading down the gears then. The Williams driver in that blue and white livery, chucking it down the gears into 4th gear. And I've just heard him saying no there, so he doesn't seem the most happy with that lap, and that is a shame. It was looking pretty decent up until that point, sadly. Meanwhile, Bius looks like he's going to potentially improve. Let's see what he can do. The other Mercedes in the orange helmet. Let's see what he can do in the Mercedes. He's 2 tenths up as he ends sector 1. So that's a good split time for him. Meanwhile, activating straight mode and using as much power from within that F1 car as he can as he chucks it down the gears into turn 4. He goes up to just over 200 kilometers an hour, over 270 kilometers an hour before he brakes for turn 5, carrying just as much momentum as he can, building up the momentum like a building, and using it to hurl him round the track as he now turns in from 50 meters before the corner over the red and white stuff, And he's keeping it very clean indeed. That looks like a very competent lap. And it takes him to P4 ahead of Baywop. It's a Mercedes second row here in Austria provisionally with 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes to go. And the Ferrari's gone wide. Baywop going wide, and that might solidify the Mercedes front second row for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Revamp here, doesn't look like he's on a lap. Let's see what Downfall can do then. He's getting ready for a lap. And yeah, he's just saying that it's going to be a scrubbing lap, so he's not really going to push too much on that lap from what I can tell. So drama for Kojo. He's stuck at just before turn 9 with a disconnected wheel, reliability issues haunting the Williams driver. Sadly not. I would like to disagree with you, but I also wouldn't like to lie to you. I don't think you'll get another lap in. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think you'll have enough time, sadly. We're going to see then the AI drivers then coming back out onto the track. Let's see if ACR can beat a couple more of the AI drivers. He's currently behind Ollie Behrman by a 1/10 of a second. Meanwhile, let's have a look. And a little bit up the order. Kojo seems, is that Kojo is an AI or Kojo actually driving? Either way, he's going around the track. So it looks like potentially those disconnection issues for his wheel have been sorted. Downfall out of the session. That is it for him in the pit lane. But let's see then, Revamp on a lap then. The provisional pole sitter is improving. What about Taunist? Is he going to be improving on his lap to potentially leapfrog ahead of Downfall? Baywop goes up the order to P4. As meanwhile, head down the straight as Ocon, look, I'm hearing that Ocon's potentially impeded someone. And that could potentially have harmed his lap. Let's see if Biup could do anything to improve. It doesn't look like he's going flat out though. Let's see if Min Verstappen then, he's up in P8 at the moment, trying to get out of people's way. But he's currently behind Oscar Piastri by 2/10 of a second. As Kojo crawling into the pits as well as Biup. But Baywop able to split the Mercedes and get himself onto the second row of the grid. What about Taunist? Meanwhile, Revamp, he's not able to improve on his previous time. What about Taunist? Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do. Heading around the final 2 corners then. Chucking it down the gears into 4th gear. Then going up the speed, up the gears, and up on the power. And he doesn't improve on his time, but it's another very consistent time from him indeed. Let's have a look at the AI class then. Who's going to do the best? Let's have a look at Ollie Behrman. He's looking to potentially go up the order. We have Arvid Lindblad as well trying to go up the order. As we have Nico Hulkenberg, Fernando Alonso, they're not going to go up the order anymore. Lawson going behind Alonso, but ahead of his teammate Lance Stroll. Lewis Hamilton going P17. Lance Stroll claps back, going up to P17. Ollie Behrman solidifies his P12 spot with a 174, 500th out of Pierre Gasly. Arvid Lindblad going up to P11 ahead of, just behind Lando Norris, who in turn is just behind Min Verstappen, who has been pushed down from P8 to P9 by Valtteri Bottas. So Bottas in that Cadillac, he's gone very well here in Austria in the past with a pole position here, most notably in 2020, but also his second Grand Prix win coming here in 2017 after holding off Sebastian Vettel. And he's now able to hold off Min Verstappen in the process. Meanwhile, ACR is not able to improve on his position, and he's been shuffled down to P14 thanks to Pierre Gasly and Arvid Lindblad. And I believe that is the end of qualifying for NRE here in Austria. So, just a question for the drivers. What did you all think of that session? Right then. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Ocon, there was no penalties according to race director, but I guess there will be one added on for Ocon for impeding. Is it? Right, so we're not readying up yet then. So we're waiting for Austrian Grand Prix to start here in NRE. Let me refresh myself on the championship order, because that's always a fun thing to look at. Yeah, Cadillac doing well with Bottas and ACR in the midfield. Have a feeling. Yeah, I have a feeling those white and black Cadillacs are going to be one to watch in the midfield. Yeah, like, can we just call him Will Stevens, like, because he's in a Cadillac, like. I do not believe. Have I? Right. Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So there's some heated exchanges here. Ah, I see. Oh yeah. What? Oh my God! It's paragraphs long. Why is it so? What the fuck? Oh my lord, mate. Write this in your English exam and you're passing with grade fours all round. Lordy lords. That's incredible. He has. All I can say is these paragraphs. Whoever wrote who wrote these paragraphs? Oh, bad to say, because if someone actually wrote these, they'd have more time than sense. Wow. So. Heard that. Bro, bro, why are you thinking that, bro? Shame. Here. My lord. That's a sore throat waiting to happen. Everyone remember, turn 1 is flat out. Right then, here we go. 5 lights on in front of the drivers here in Austria. And we are away. Revamp releases the clutch and gets away very well. It's a battle for second into turn 1 between Downfall and Taunus. And why is Ocon first on the timing screen? I have no idea. Meanwhile, we head into the we head into the third corner. The battle for fourth is on. It's a very late breaking move by Kojo, who hits his Williams teammate. And that was very close. It's not too sure what that was about with the Williams there, but wow, that was. Well, the Williams, they seem to have a trend of hitting each other as the Dutch Grand Prix, if that's anything to go by. Meanwhile, that's Kojo going down the order. Verstappen has had a great start, going all the way up into P5 now, as Ocon's finally gone back down the order to where he actually is. So we now head round turn 6, then Kojo gets back ahead of Verstappen in the Audi. So the Sauber Audi now heading into the final 2 corners in 6th place. And it's a 3-way battle for 5th place as Kojo, as we look behind from the Williams. We have Kojo and Verstappen as well as Baywop as well, as they all file their way through. We have Revamp leading as we have a battle in the AI class between Bottas and Piastri. Piastri hanging it around the outside and taking it well, as meanwhile Baywop gets ahead of Verstappen in the competitive class. Meanwhile, back to the AI class. Then the McLarens are battling. Norris and Piastri side by side. And let's see. The Piastri getting ahead of Norris. Norris just edging him out. Meanwhile, Baywop getting round the outside of Verstappen. It's a beautiful move as they run into turn 5 then. But the Audi again holding off Baywop, and contact between the pair of them. As Baywop now having to settle back in and try and line up another move on Verstappen, but both classes, the AI class and the NRE class, both having very good battles indeed. As Norris leads the AI classes, there's been a spin for Baywop. Baywop spins, and that is going to lose him a lot of time to Verstappen ahead. Verstappen now with a lot of breathing space to the car behind. Meanwhile, I think Downfall's just had some purple sectors. As meanwhile, the 2 McLarens are battling away with Valtteri Bottas in the Cadillac. Bottas here, side by side with Lando Norris. And now Oscar Piastri is now under threat from Norris, who is using as much battery as he can to get ahead of Oscar. But Piastri not having that one easy, but he's now left himself a bit vulnerable to Valtteri Bottas in the Cadillac. And now Bottas able to split the McLarens potentially. No, he's not. Piastri's able to just about edge him out. And yeah, Piastri does get ahead. Meanwhile, Behrman getting ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and there's a big battle between him and Alonso. The two old rivals, the 2 old teammates from F1 in Hamilton's rookie season. Battling away here. Side by side, Alonso around the outside at turn 5, but not able to make the move in the Aston Martin. Hamilton keeps P14, and there's car round. Potentially is that Baywop going round, and he's now side by side with Lando Norris heading round turn 9. That's a very close call between the pair of them. As now, or turn 8 should I say, not turn 9. As we head onto the next lap, we chuck down the gears, heading round turn 1. But Baywop now having a bit of work to do. He's got to try and regain his momentum and keep ahead of Lando Norris. But Norris now making a move on the inside of Baywop. And Norris, the leader of the AI class, now trying to sneak into the top 7 and doing so temporarily. But the Ferrari says no and tries to keep ahead of him. They're side by side with Baywop. He's not going to make that move stick, is he? He goes all the way around the outside, pulls off a very nice drift, but no, he loses the place to the first McLaren, and he's got the other McLaren right there behind him. Ollie Behrman now trying to get past Arvid Lindblad, but not being able to. Meanwhile, I think Kojo just is going down the order now, as he's just been overtaken by Beop, so the Mercedes vs Williams battle is swings in the favour of the Mercedes too. As now there's a penalty for Downfall, so with the Williams struggling, the Mercedes now coming into play. Meanwhile, Baywop does get ahead of Lando Norris, so that is going to help his race out as we now enter A very intriguing stage of the race. Let's have a check-in on ACR then. He's trying to make a move on... I believe that's Pierre Gasly that he's trying to make a move on. Heading into turn 1. As we now head back up the order. As Valtteri Bottas here. He's gone down the order, but he's now trying to fend off Nico Hülkenberg. And now the two McLarens are going at it again. As Oscar Piastri going toe-to-toe with his teammate Lando Norris. Heading down into turn 4. This is the battle for 8th overall. The battle for the lead out of the AI class. And Piastri does get ahead of Norris. Meanwhile, Alonso does get ahead of Lindblad. And Behrman's also got ahead of Lindblad as well. So that's good stuff for him. Meanwhile, 7/10 of a second separating Kojo from Biu. As Kojo there slipping and sliding a little bit on the exit of turn 7 into the ferocious turn 8. And into turn 9 on the exit of this corner. It can be one that catches your eyes. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton's got ahead of Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad dropping places like a pin here. And now he's going to come under threat from ACR as well. As ACR now being taken to the inside nearly by Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad's fending off the inside there, but ACR not able to do anything to help that. I mean, well, look at this battle here. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, the French rivalry going at it. And Ocon being shoved off the track. There was all sorts of anarchy going on behind, though, with, I believe, Isaac Hadjar and potentially even Liam Lawson as well. As now Lance Stroll as well getting in on the action, as well as Esteban Ocon. We have Lewis Hamilton and Ollie Behrman swapping places. Hamilton on his way up. McLaren's, I think, were swapping places earlier on as well. As meanwhile, we have Kojo here in the Williams there. And let's keep an eye on this battle. Keep an eye on this chase. We also have another chase going on between Baywop, who's trying to catch back up to the Audi of Min Verstappen. And let's see as... Whoa, that's a lot of speed being carried there by the Ferrari. Let's see if he can put it to good use. Go on board with the Ferrari, who gets ahead of the Audi and pushes him slightly on the grass there. As now the Audi tries to come back in. Well, he cannot do so as of yet. Meanwhile, going to keep an eye on Kojo. There's again a little bit of a lock-up as ACR now battling with Arvid Lindblad. Let's actually cut to that. Let's see, ACR. Where is ACR? There he is. He was having a battle with Arvid Lindblad as Behrman goes for the move on the inside of Fernando Alonso. That's a very aggressive move by Ollie, but he won't get it done. Alonso with some great defending there. And I'd expect nothing less from the two-time world champions. Now, Ollie Behrman now does get ahead of Fernando Alonso up into 13th. Ocon gets ahead of Gasly as well. And now, heading on to... We're just coming up to the 9th lap in this 36 lap race. ACR now battling with Arvid Lindblad. Let's cut to this battle. And yeah, ACR does get up into 15th ahead of Lindblad. So Lindblad again trying to make up places but failing to do so. As now there's a 3-second penalty for Min Verstappen. Let's actually get the details of these penalties so we can keep track of who's vulnerable and who isn't. As I've got them up for my stream. So that's good. And they'll probably be up on your stream as well on your end. Is now Bottas going toe-to-toe with Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg getting ahead of him. Meanwhile, Behrman and ACR going at it. Behrman pushed a little bit off the track and that's left him vulnerable to Arvid Lindblad behind. Lindblad gets passed by ACR. It's very nice indeed. Just meanwhile, Bottas fighting to stay in the top 10. And off wide there for Kojo. Kojo losing places. And he's now been passed by the Ferrari of Baywop as well. So Kojo now looking to redeem himself potentially. Looking to come back. As now the Alpines, as Gasly really struggling. He's dropped to last. As meanwhile, Min Verstappen is meanwhile we have into the pits there. That will be Kojo into the pits, potentially getting off those soft tyres. The degradation around Austria, I believe, is quite high. So to see him starting on the softs, that has surprised me a little bit, to be fair. I would, from a strategist point of view, I'd pick mediums, but he's going, let's see what he pits onto then. The first pit stop of the race being made here, and he goes onto hard tyres. So an interesting strategy there. Let's see if he can potentially undercut his way back up to into P4, which is where he started. But it does mean he's going to come out virtually last place, and he'll have a lot of traffic to attend to as soon as he comes out the pits. Look, he's up in P21. He's now fighting Pierre Gasly for P21 and P22. And now running into the back of the Alpine of Colapinto. So he's gonna, yeah, that's a lot of traffic for Kojo to have to deal with now on those hard tyres. He's gonna have to clear them. But he's also gonna have to try and not hurt his tyres too much, because he needs them for later on when the other front runners pit. And he needs to be able to gain time on BO, on Bay Wop, and on Min Verstappen to undercut them and get back to where he qualified, up in P4. Meanwhile, Downfall trying to, with a big front lock up there. And he's lucky that flat spots aren't simulated in this game, but yeah, it's struggling for grip on those tyres. He's on the hard tyres as well, so he's just struggling for grip in general. As meanwhile, we're looking back to the midfield scrap here, as we have Arvid Lindblad side by side with Fernando Alonso, and Alonso losing out. This AI midfield scrap is absolutely on rails, as Bottas and Hulkenberg are at it. Let's have a look at that. As meanwhile, back on the inside for Fernando Alonso, he's going to get past Arvid Lindblad. And now we have the two Hasses swapping places as well. Behrman trying to hold on, is now Ocon now swapping places with Liam Lawson. Great racing here, as Liam Lawson now losing the place to Esteban Ocon. Ollie Behrman now looking to potentially have a shot at getting past. We'll go up the order here. ACR, he's been having a good race so far, going, I think he was 14th or 15th earlier, now he's up into 12th, trying to get up into 11th ahead of Lewis Hamilton, as that would make it a Cadillac 10-11, and that would be a good place for that team to be. As here we go then, Lewis Hamilton, he cannot defend against ACR. ACR going around the outside of him at turn 1, but no, Hamilton fights back late on the brakes there, and now tries to run away with it, as meanwhile there's a yellow flag. That can't be Kojo. No, it is not. It is the other Williams and Downfall. So Downfall losing valuable time there. He's going to have to try and gain that back, but that will give Townist a bit of breathing space. That will give BU a bit of an opportunistic thought. There's into the pits. There comes the Mercedes of, no, what? Who was that? Oh, I think there was a yellow flag out for Townist. I thought that was him coming into the pits, but nope, I was wrong. And now we head back, having a look at the back of the field with Ollie Behrman. As we'll see, Ollie Behrman, great driver conduct there between the pair of them. Let's see if they'll potentially battle later on. That will be a good thing to watch from my end. As Esteban Ocon now round the outside of Franco Colapinto to hold off the position. Meanwhile, ACR going up a place ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton not able to hold him off. There's a car off, and that is the Ferrari in the wall. Baywop slamming the wall, breaking his front wing, and there was nearly contact with the Audi as he rejoined the track, but no, that was just all on his own on the exit of turn 3 for the Ferrari. Yeah, looked like he was fighting that Ferrari like he was fighting off Tommy Fury. Well, maybe Tyson Fury actually in that case anyway. Just having a look at the lead battle is into the pits for Townist. Let's see what he can. What tyres did he just go on there? That was a set of hard tyres. So another man pitting early for hard tyres. Let's see where will he come out then? He'll come out potentially near Min Verstappen. Yeah, he's just come out ahead of Min Verstappen, and now he's got a lot of clean air, which is what I believe Kojo could have done with earlier on, but now he's having to deal with a lot of traffic. There's a change of front wing here for Baywop in the pits. There we go. He's now out of the pits he goes. Let's see where Baywop will come out then. He'll probably come out stone dead last for the moment. Yes, he will. So out of the pits comes Baywup. And he now heads out of turn 1 and into a good bit of clean air. So that's something that Kojo doesn't have the royalty of. Meanwhile, Kojo, where is he? Here he is. He's stuck behind both Alpines, blocking the track. And the Alpines themselves battling each other. But yeah, this midfield battle between Kojo, the Alpines, the Hasses, the Red Bull. I mean, obviously Kojo's... Oh, and round, who was that? That's only Behrman. That's a shame. As Behrman rounds, and me being a massive Behrman fan, that's just another bit of heartbreak after watching the Dutch Grand Prix where he didn't even make the restart. As Gasly there tried a choice move on Kojo, but Kojo now having to move a Colapinto, and Colapinto can't defend it. A good move there by Kojo, who sends it to the inside at the fast and furious Jochen Rindt bend. And meanwhile, into the pits for Lewis Hamilton. A lot of the AI making their pit stops now. As meanwhile, we're going to head back up the order, and Taunus and Bio have swapped places, and that's because Bio's gone wide on the exit of turn 4, I believe. So, and yeah, confirmation from the driver. He has gone off. Yeah. Well, yeah, you live, you learn. And, well, at least now he can potentially build that gap further on. And he's pitting. Interesting as Downfall with a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is such a shame for the Williams driver. And it's out of the pits on mediums then for the Williams. He's definitely looking at a 2-stop strategy. I think this race is definitely going to be a 2-stop race because the degradation around this track is very high, especially with that last half of the track being just full-on sweepers. But Downfall now has a 16-second penalty hanging over his shoulder, and I'm not sure if he can. I don't know if he'll be able to process any of them. There's Kojo now heading around turn 1. He's now back up into 8th, and he's just over 7 seconds behind Bio, but with a 3-second penalty, and he's now under threat from Oscar Piastri, which is going to hinder him a bit more. There's Piastri now having Kojo up to the curb. Kojo side by side with the McLaren. As we'll see Kojo side by side, and he's round the outside at turn 4 to keep ahead of the Papaya car. Meanwhile, both Cadillacs, P5 and P6, provisionally at the moment. They haven't made that pit stops yet, but that's a great place for this team to be in. This team that started, I don't know if they started there, but they were, earlier on, they were down in 10th and 11th. And now they've gone up into 5th and 6th, but 8th, I think that's Valtteri Bottas coming into the pits. His teammate stays out for one more lap to avoid double stacking. Meanwhile, the Audi of Min Verstappen is going to come out the pits, I think just behind Bio. So more or less where he came into the pits. Well, more or less where they were before Bio came into the pits. Now they come out basically in the same places. Kojo has lost... yeah, he has lost a bit of time in that traffic. As you can see, I'd say he's probably lost about 3 seconds, maybe more, in that traffic. As something's happened, I'm not too sure what. There's an Audi off. And Min Verstappen, that gap he had over Kojo and Bayop has gone right out the window. Is now Baywop now going from 8th to 6th in 2 corners. Or has he? Because round the outside goes the Williams and Kojo, who gets shown the curb. As now Kojo now has to figure out a way past the Ferrari. All these guys have the same level of penalties as well. So it's even Stevens all the way around. And that is a spin there for Kojo, who hits the side of the Ferrari and now drops back down to 8th. So Min Verstappen stays in 7th, and Kojo Baywop swap places around him. It's now side by side with Oscar Piastri again for Kojo. Kojo says, "No, you're not relevant right now. You're in a different class to me." As now Piastri leading in the AI class provisionally. But now this battle for P6 overall between Baywop, Min Verstappen, Kojo, Piastri. It's going very well indeed. Obviously, these 3 drivers all have penalties. That will drop them down the order overall. In terms of their own battle, their own an NRE battle. There's the caddy. What's happened with the caddy here? That's a battle with ACR and BO. BO gets ahead of the Cadillac, who is struggling probably on old tyres. As ACR hasn't pit yet, but I think he's one of the only drivers out there who hasn't pit yet. As Kojo going a bit wide out of turn 5. That's a... Hopefully he can regain a bit of momentum. As we have... Just looking down the order, Behrman's last. That is a shame. Hopefully Behrman can get up the order later on in the race. But he's just been lapped by one of the Mercedes. That's even worse. Never mind, as we have Downfall here trying to keep his race alive. He's nearly over 15 seconds ahead of BO, so he would retain his third place if he was to pull that gap over BO, providing he doesn't get any more penalties, which he shouldn't, to be fair. We'll see then, as we have an Audi versus an Aston Martin. That's Fernando Alonso and Nico Hülkenberg battling, and Hülkenberg hangs around the outside, and that is nicely done there for him. Alonso getting ahead of Hülkenberg again, heading into turn 4 now. As meanwhile there's ghosting happening here between Liam Lawson and Pierre Gasly. Gasly going around the outside of Liam, and Liam losing the place to the Frenchman. This AI midfield scrap has been amazing to watch today, as well as this battle between Baywalk and Verstappen as ACR finally comes into the pits, and we'll see where he comes out in this Cadillac. He's done most of the race on hard. He's done over half the race on hards. As now he's going to go on to a set of soft tyres. That's a very interesting strategy. I'm surprised that he's going to try and make soft tyres last that long. Maybe he's going to pit for a second set of softs later on, but it's definitely going to be a two-stop strategy this race. So meanwhile, ACR's come out in 15th where he was earlier on, but with much fresher tyres. Meanwhile, Valtteri Bottas side by side with Lewis Hamilton, former teammates at Mercedes, going toe to toe, the Ferrari versus the Cadillac side by side into turn 4. And it looks like Bottas is going to win out on this occasion. So Valtteri, it's James, I'm winning. Or James is Valtteri, I'm winning, should I say. As Colapinto getting ahead of Isaac Hadjar. Meanwhile, Hadjar's teammate is currently looking to lap one of the Cadillacs. That's ACR, but revamp on an absolute charger. Recently commentated on a race that he did in Canada for a league called FCL, and he was rapid in that, and he's rapid here. Revamping the competition and taking home the golden trophies, and doing it in style. He's currently 8 seconds out of Taunus, who's given him a good run for his money so far, and giving himself a good bit of silverware. Meanwhile, in third, Downfall has got that gap over BU. Excuse me. Yeah, he has got that move. He has got that gap, should I say. So that penalty, when that's applied, he'll be about 0.6 of a second ahead of BU, but 0.6 nonetheless, he is still ahead of him. Meanwhile, ACR battling away with Arvid Lindblad, and Lindblad has got ahead of him. No, got behind him, should I say. ACR up the places. I don't know why he's ghosted though. I hope that doesn't mean he's disconnected. Meanwhile, we have Verstappen with 6 seconds penalties, battling away with Kojo. Kojo with a lock up on the inside of turn 1 and gets ahead of the Audi. So Kojo back up into P6. But now the Audi going to come back at him, heading round the King Cut turn 2 and into turn 3. Very heavy braking zone. Bit of a lock up for the Audi there on those medium tyres. And round for Kojo, nearly. And again, a struggling for grip there for the Williams drivers. Cost him against the Audi. Meanwhile, they're heading round turn 4 is Verstappen here on lap 22 of this Austrian Grand Prix. Race 5 for Northern Riot's Esports in their F1 series. And it's currently being led by Revamp. Then comes the Mercedes of Taunus. Then comes Downfall ahead of Biu. And then comes Baywop, should I say. Yeah. Yep. They are one. Oh, lordy lord. There's actually battling in the midfield. Well, something else you should be immersed in is this battle for 17th between Lawson and Gasly. There's Lawson there trying to keep ahead of the Frenchman. Is he able to? No, he's been passed by the Frenchman and he's now being harassed by another Frenchman because Isaac Hadjar's there to make life difficult. But no, he's not able to get any type of move done as of yet. No, wait, he is able to get a move done. Down into turn 3. Around the outside of Liam Lawson goes Isaac Hadjar, and the man who replaced Isaac Hadjar at the Dutch Grand Prix is now lost out to him. Meanwhile, Isaac Hadjar with a lot of closing speed on the Frenchman of Pierre Gasly. And Hadjar now around the outside making the move. No, he's not able to make that move stick. He gets forced... he gets shown the door. It's around turn 5 into turn 6 for this slot. Meanwhile, we head further up the order. And I believe Lewis Hamilton, he's trying to catch up to Valtteri Bottas. Meanwhile, there's ACR and Fernando Alonso battling. And ACR gets ahead of Alonso. And spins! It's a spin for the Cadillac of ACR. He's dropped from 13th to potentially 15th. Make that. I'm not too sure where now. He's got back onto the track in 16th place with the 3-second penalty. But he's now got Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson, and the 2 Alpines all on him. As Valtteri Bottas is out of the session. Meanwhile, his teammate is being attacked by 4 cars into one corner. And one of them has got through. That's Isaac Hadjar getting through on ACR. As meanwhile, the Alpine now trying to fend off Liam Lawson as well as Franco Colapinto. As this is disaster for Cadillac, because the Red Bull now of Isaac Hadjar trying to make a move but not able to. The Alpines are now making their moves on Liam Lawson with Franco Colapinto getting ahead of Pierre Gasly and Liam Lawson in that fracas. And now round for ACR again, struggling for grip on those soft tyres. He'll have to pitch shortly for at least a set of medium tyres to carry him to the end of the race. Esteban Ocon's now slipped through on ACR because of that spin. Why has Valtteri Bottas stopped? Probably due to an engine failure, but that is a shame for the Cadillac driver because he has been on full ball race up until that point. But now we have 21 drivers left in the race. But that does mean Ollie Behrman is not 22nd anymore, and that is a good thing. Make that now Ollie Behrman 20th because of ACR pitting and with that 3-second penalty. Meanwhile, the battle here between the Alpines and Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar, now Esteban Ocon instead of ACR, still rages on as now they nearly go 3 wide into turn 3. Liam Lawson trying to make the move on Isaac Hadjar. It looks like a very aggressive rivalry between the pair of them. But still, nothing much done. No, Liam Lawson making the move. And is he able to get ahead of Isaac Hadjar? Yes, he is. So this is all just for 16th place. Meanwhile, going up the order there, that's Kojo getting ahead of the man in the pits. That's Baywop. Just a bit of a tongue. As Baywop now, he's going to come out behind the 2 orange McLaren cars and just out ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. So let's see them. Hopefully the McLarens don't pose too much of an issue for the Ferrari of Baywop. Hopefully he can clear that traffic and get after Kojo and Min Verstappen and potentially even Bio. Bio, should I say, as well. As meanwhile, 6 seconds. So in terms of penalties, oh, and off there for Kojo in the gravel, and he's round at the 5th corner. And he's now going to be dropping places there. Lando Norris is going to be there to pick up the scraps. Meanwhile, Downfall's in the pits. So that's going to put the second Mercedes up into the podium positions. That'll probably put Min Verstappen up the order. Meanwhile, Baywop's going ahead of Oscar Piastri. Kojo's now in 10th after that spin. And Nico Hulkenberg's now potentially going to be on his case and into the pits potentially for Kojo. Yes, I'm right. So both Williams pitting here on lap 27. As Downfall out of the pits now, locking up the rears there, heading up into turn 3. It's down into turn 4. Meanwhile, I'm going to have a look at Baywop getting ahead of Lando Norris for the time being, but the McLaren trying to punch a move back, but no, he's not able to make a move stick. Meanwhile, into the pits, it's very busy in the pit lane, but it's also busy with Isaac Hadjar again. He's trying to make moves with the Alpine of Pierre Gasly for what will now be P11, as most of the AI have pit. Kojo coming out the pits in 14th. And 3 wide here between Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson, and Pierre Gasly. And Gasly losing 2 positions. Isaac Hadjar going up 2 positions, up into P11, ahead of Liam Lawson. Then comes Pierre Gasly, as now Bio into the pits, and that will be ahead of Downfall. Downfall has now got rid of that 10-second penalty, and now Bio's got his own 10-second penalty. So the roles reversed now in terms of the speeding penalty. Baywop with a stunning lap. Purple lap all round for Baywop. He is on a rapid pace. If he keeps that pace up, Bio is gonna be looking over his shoulder, and potentially even Min Verstappen as well. Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton, they're having to watch out as Kojo's going to go up the order, as he's going to be back up into 10th, I believe. Maybe even 9th if he can get ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's coming out the pits now. No, he's a little bit too far back. No, he is. No, he's too far forward, should I say. He's too far in front. So Kojo does get ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton trying to get back in front. Down the inside he goes. So it's the 7-time world champion versus the Williams of Kojo. And it's Kojo who wins out in that case. And Kojo now setting after the 2 Papaya cars who have held 7th and 8th for most of the race. Now we have ACR and Lance Stroll battling out, and it's ACR who wins out in that battle. He still has that 3-second penalty hanging over his shoulder though. Meanwhile, into the pits for Lando Norris. Norris changing his size. Meanwhile, Min Verstappen and Bio battling out. They're both ghosted momentarily there, but Min Verstappen and Bio side by side heading into the 4th corner. It's the two big German manufacturers battling out. It's Mercedes versus Audi and Auto Union, and it's the Mercedes that comes out in front of the Audi. So Min Verstappen, meanwhile, Arvid Lindblad having a bit of a moment here with Fernando Alonso, and now Nico Hulkenberg makes this 3 wide. This being the battle for P11, and now heading into turn 3 for these 3. Lindblad battling it out with Fernando Alonso. Alonso trying to squeeze him out, but it's not going to work. Let's have a look at his teammate who's just got ahead of ACR. Meanwhile, as Bayop gets ahead of Min Verstappen, who's just come into the pits here. Min Verstappen getting off those medium tyres. Meanwhile, we have ACR having trouble there. Lance Stroll getting ahead of him. Meanwhile, is Lindblad, Alonso, and Nico Hulkenberg here trying to watch each other, and Alonso trying to choice move on Lindblad, but that's not going to work on the young rookie, as now the other V-carb here of Liam Lawson. Well, excuse me. Meanwhile, we have that is ACR and Lance Stroll. ACR getting back ahead of Lance Stroll. So Lance losing the place to the Cadillac, the sole remaining Cadillac in the race after Valtteri Bottas' engine blew earlier on. As we have That is... Oh, and Esteban Ocon's making up a move on Isaac Hadjar. And now... no, Hadjar just came out the pitch, should I say. Behrman still in 21st. Meanwhile, Revamp ahead of BU. As Revamp has actually... Oh, wow, I didn't even realise. So Revamp has lapped everyone up to the man in 4th place. That is serious pace from Revamp here in Austria. It's the Red Bull Ring, seeing the Revamp of... the Red Bull of Revamp. And it's really something to watch. As meanwhile, he's pulled out a 26.5 second gap to the Mercedes behind, who in turn has pulled a 33 second gap over Downfall behind, who in turn has pulled a 10 second gap on BU behind. But BU now has just half a second separating him and Baywop. Make that 2/10, make that 1/10, make that barely anything. Heading into the fast and furious Jochen Ring curve. They're side by side, swapping sides round the last corner to end the lap. And that is the Ferrari just getting ahead here on lap 32. 4 laps to go, and Baywop gets ahead of BU. And it's a brilliant thing to be watching, as there's a yellow flag. I'm not too sure as to why there's a yellow flag for Isaac Hadjar, who seems to be pulling over. I want to cut to that. There we go. Where is Isaac Hadjar? There he is. Isaac Hadjar pulling over. And in the exact same fashion as Valtteri Bottas earlier on, Isaac Hadjar retires from the Austrian Grand Prix. Meanwhile, BU goes for a choice move on the Ferrari. Bit of contact, bit of grass cutting there. But Baywop still maintains 4th place ahead of BU. Meanwhile, Min Verstappen not able to make anything of that. As ACR getting ahead of Lance Stroll. There's Lance Stroll here heading around turn 1. It's Nico Hulkenberg trying to stay with Arvid Lindblad. Lewis Hamilton staying with Oscar Piastri. Kojo here trying to keep ahead of Oscar Piastri, but also catch up to Lando Norris to potentially inherit P7 again. Here on lap 31, should I say, not 32. No, it's lap 33. What? The graphic changed. Meanwhile... Oh yeah, because of revamp. Ah, that makes a lot of sense now. Meanwhile, we have... Yeah. Yeah, no, it just came up on yellow flag saying lap 31 instead of lap 33. That has really confused me then. As down the inside goes BU, and he makes the move on Baywop. But Baywop looking to strike back at him. And this is a great battle between the Scuderia and the Mercedes. And it's the Scuderia who is behind, but not for long. Heading round turn 6, it's almost contact. But just nothing else happening there. The yellow flag's up in turn 4. I'm not too sure as to why, but there shouldn't be anything wrong. There's a 3-second penalty for Baywop. We had a bit of a swapper coming out of the last corner here, but heading up into turn 1 then, Baywop versus BU, and it's the Ferrari who gets up in front of him, and the man in the Brad Pitt hat makes a move worthy of cinema as he heads up into turn 3. Meanwhile, BU trying to stick with him. Is that the Ferrari going round? It is. Baywop round and losing out to BU. Yep. Oh, he's going to be trying to chase that gap, trying to close in. Yeah, well, all he needs to do is close within 1 second of BU. And, yeah, as the driver's just said, he only needs to close within 1 second of him to get him on aggregate. While we have another midfield scrap with AI. We have Aston Martin, we have Liam Lawson going for a move on ACR, turning him round. As ACR has been turned by Liam Lawson. Lawson has turned the Cadillac into the wall and broke his front wing in half. So now the Cadillac in 18th, trying to hold off Esteban Ocon, but with a damaged car. Also, Liam Lawson has damage. He has a broken front wing, and I'm not surprised because they just collided over 200 kilometers an hour. Absolute drama between the pair of them. Meanwhile, we have Lando Norris and Kojo battling it out. So the defending champion in real life F1 versus Kojo here in the Williams. Is this a yellow flag? Not too sure as to why. That is a car goes. Oh, that's ACR going slowly. Oh, and a spin there for BU. Drama for the Mercedes, who drops it out of turn 7. And that is a shame for BU. BU in the Mercedes now. He'll probably have to settle for 5th then, as he heads around the Jochen bend. There's the Cadillac in the pits, as well as one of the V-Carbs. That is Liam Lawson. As ACR retires from the session. That's a shame for him. He was having such a good session up until that point. Meanwhile, we go back up the order then. We have, let's have a look then, as Oscar Piastri comes around the Jochen Rindt bend. The Jochen Rindt bend named after Jochen Rindt, the 1970 F1 world champion and the only ever penostrious F1 world champion. And if you know the meaning behind the word penostrious, that for those who don't, posthumous should I say, yeah, that means a world champion who died before he could claim the crown. As meanwhile, contact there between Kojo and Norris winning out in that battle for now, but he now heads into turn 4. But the number 4 driver staying ahead of Kojo for the time being. But Kojo sends a choice move to the inside. Meanwhile, Revamp takes the win here in Austria. And he has been absolutely relentless, as I said in Canada. As a 10-second penalty for BU. He takes P5. Baywop takes P4. And Tonest takes the fastest lap, as well as the silver medal for 2nd place. Then next up will be Downfall, who had been not really fell that much, to be honest, here in the Williams. And yeah, the better placed of the Williams, both Williams in the top 8, which will be a good thing for them both. As Lando Norris actually has got ahead of the Audi of Min Verstappen here. So Min Verstappen must have made a mistake as he heads round the final corner. Downfall takes the final step on the podium and ends the NRE Austrian Grand Prix. Well, thank you all ever so much for watching the Northern Riot Esports around the Austrian Grand Prix in the F1 2026 cars. Hope you all enjoyed it, and goodbye. Nice. Oh, Norris. That's good. That was a good watch. Yeah. Yeah, that battle for 4th was absolutely perpetuous. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Yeah. That was really clean. Yeah, that. Yeah, nah, that was. Yeah. Where? Oh, when Liam Lawson. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I called it. I commentated on it. But yeah, no, I saw it. Yeah. Nah, to be honest, I was surprised because you were just side by side going round the kink, so I didn't really expect any contact. And then Liam just went, "Ooh, what's this thing called contact? Buff."